you're all doing well today. Are they going to be muted the whole time?
Yeah. No,
Robert says you have to be muted the whole time.
If they have a question, they'll raise.
Which just means that I will just talk more, and everyone knows how much I like to do that, so it should be fine. So, like Robert said, you know, we have 4 sparkling wines to taste. If you guys want to open them all, then go big tonight. It is Friday, that's fine. Otherwise, you can just open whichever one, you know, you're feeling like today, and I'll talk about all 4 of them. So when we get to your wine, you know, you can taste along with me. So cheers, everybody. But we're going to start with the Blanc de Blanc first. Get a little in my glass. And Robert and Timmy, do you guys want some too?
Of course.
Last time we did one of these, there was like a hand coming in to take the bottle. So this is our Blanc de Blanc. This is 100% Chardonnay. Blanc de Blanc means white of white. So that means we're making a white bubbly out of white grape. This is grown right here on our property. All of our sparkling wines actually are grown right here on our property. The Chardonnay is that block that you see when you're driving down the driveway. For those of you who have been here, which I think is probably most of you, good portion of you. And these are all made, all of our sparklings are made in the traditional method champenois. So that is the traditional way of making champagne. That's how it's been done for generations in France and in the Champagne region of France. And all of our sparklings are made that way. So what that means is we pick our grapes. For instance, in this case, we pick at about 19 bricks, and bricks is a unit of sugar, a measurement of sugar. So much lower, about 5 bricks lower than we would pick for still wine. So we pick it nice and low, bring it into the winery. We actually use a champagne press cycle. So that means it's a long and very gentle press cycle to get the juice out of the grape. So they go in whole cluster, like you buy at the grocery store. We throw those clusters into the press, and then we just press it off the skin. And then it ferments very cold at about 56 degrees for 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. It just ferments nice and slow, and it ferments all the way to dryness. So there's no residual sugar left in it. The alcohol at this point is about 11%. And then from there, we actually put it into the bottle. And that is where you get that traditional method champenois. So we put it into the bottle with a little bit of sugar and a little bit more yeast. And that's where you get all the bubbles from the bottle. And it spends between 1 and 2.5 years in bottle on the lees. And then we disgorge it. And so that means it actually has a beer cap on the top of the bottle at the start. So instead of the cork, it has a beer cap. And we riddle it. So we turn all the bottles to get the sediment down into the neck of the bottle and freeze it, and then pop it open, get rid of that, top up the bottles, maybe add a little dosage if we want to, and then cork it. And then we give it to you guys, or we drink it ourselves in mine and Vicky's case. Right, Vicky? She's not paying attention. I see her yelling at Mike. I can't hear her. I just see her mouth moving. Sorry, Vicky. So anyway, so let's taste it. If this is the one you have in your glass, let's go ahead and taste. So this is one of my favorites. This is like, I mean, okay, to be fair, I'm going to say that about every wine we're going to taste today. They're all my favorites. But this is probably the one that I drink the most of. This is, I think, even though some of our red sparklings are like super food friendly and diverse, like this is my go-to. This is like, you have a good or a bad day at work or maybe at home, or like trying to homeschool your children, which is crazy. And this is my go-to wine. So there's tons of bright fruit, bright green apple, lemon curd, lemon zest, a little bit of like pie crust character. It's bright, it's pretty, lots of pear. And then it's super balanced. It's really delicate. So it's got nice acidity, so it feels really refreshing, but like not so bracing in acidity that it's like taking the enamel off your teeth, you know? So Robert's laughing at me. So, you know, it's just a really balanced wine. And not only is it like a perfect, you know, afternoon wine or porch drinking wine, but it's actually really food friendly. That little bit of acidity and that crispness really cuts through a lot of rich foods, like any sort of like pastas or cream sauces, any sort of like bries or cheeses like that, seafood, salad, even like roasted vegetables. I had this the other night with miso roasted vegetables, and it was so good, just with that saltiness and, you know, sort of that richness. It just cuts right through that. So, yeah, anyway, are we allowed to open it up to questions?
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna open it up to questions now. So if does anyone have questions? You guys have to ask questions. I mean, I can talk the whole time, but Tammy's gonna unmute you, so if you guys wanna raise your hand, do they raise their hand?
Or their glass.
Or your glass and ask questions? Anybody? No? One person? Okay, well, that's okay. We'll move on to the next one unless anyone. Oh, Robert reminded me. We did this last time, and what would you guys pair with this? I said, you know, what I ate with the other day. I have lots and lots more pairings. But does anyone have a suggestion? Just raise your hand, and Tammy will unmute you. Anybody? What you guys like to have with this at home? How about Vicky? Vicky, what do you guys have this with?
Hang on. Wait, there. Oh, shoot.
Okay, technical difficulties. And then we'll go to Steve and Wendy after.
I'm trying, it's not.
We always
Oh, there we go.
have your wine, your sparkling wine with popcorn when we're playing some of the games you see that are behind us.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Hey, you
popcorn
stole
is my,
mine.
Yeah, popcorn is my go-to meal, like, I don't know, 5 nights a week maybe, so. It's like one of those parenting things you like feed the kids and then you're like, okay, I'm done with life. I'm just eating popcorn and drinking bubbles and going to bed. And it goes really well. So it's like one of those like highbrow, lowbrow type wines. You know, you can have this with like oysters or caviar, but you can also have it with like popcorn and French fries and potato chips, and it's super delicious. So
you took all my pairings.
Vicky, how about
Those
you?
are all mine. Oysters, popcorn, potato chips. But we do it a lot of times with things that we would normally pair a white wine also. So like we make a sol piccata, and it's good with that, or sauteed shrimp over linguine with a lemon butter sauce. It goes great with those kinds of things as well.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I'm hungry. Okay, Steve and Wendy. How about you guys? Oh, here, there you go.
Like Vicky said, was the oyster shooters, you know, raw oysters. It goes great with that.
Yeah.
We don't have
it's
it
cool.
right now, unfortunately, but.
Yeah. Well, once quarantine is lifted, for those in our area, I highly recommend. I've brought bottles of this out to Hog Island on Tamales Bay, and you can just buy oysters and bring your own wine, and it's pretty awesome. Awesome experience. So, okay. Anybody else? Otherwise, we'll go to the next wine, which I'm pretty excited about.
We do.
Don't have to rip this out. Oh, joy. Oh, yeah. Robert's getting me another glass so that I don't have to waste it. Quarantine times, guys. You can't waste any bubbles. Okay, so our next wine, thank you, Robert. Our next wine is again, I told you I was going to say this every time, and I wasn't joking. Like, I love this wine. This is also one of my favorites. This is our sparkling Grenache. So anybody that's, you know, feeling so inclined to open this one today, go ahead. You can put that in your glass. Like I started working for Mike and Vicky. They were making one sparkling wine, which was a sparkling Syrah, which we'll talk about. And in conversations with Vicky, we are both bubble lovers, like totally obsessed. And so in 2011, when I started, we started making our Blanc de Blanc. And, you know, then we just wanted more. Like once you make like 2 kinds of bubbles, you're like, well, how many more can we make? So we also had, we had Grenache growing on our property. And I hadn't ever had a sparkling Grenache. Vicky, had you had a sparkling Grenache before? Yeah. We were like, I don't know, maybe it'll be good, maybe it'll suck. I don't know. Robert's laughing at my lack of having a filter. And so we tried it in 2013. We made our first sparkling Grenache. And I mean, you know, you can always sort of, like as a winemaker, sort of project where things might go and how things might turn out. But it sort of blew my mind. I knew it would probably be like pretty good, you know, just knowing what a rosé of Grenache tastes like. But this like was beyond my expectations. And I think it's always one of the sparklings that we sell out of the quickest. And I'm always the most sad about that. Because once it sells out for you guys, it's also sold out for us. So it's very depressing. So the Grenache also comes right from our property. It's actually the block, one of the blocks closest to the tasting room, just outside of our little patio area. So we picked this one early. It's a little riper usually because it's a red varietal than the Chardonnay. So it's usually around 20 bricks. Pick it early, and this one gets a little bit of skin contact. So what we do is we sort of de-stem it and let it sit on the skin for just a short bit of time. So like a couple hours, maybe 2 to 3 hours. And that gives it this nice blush color. So you guys have your bottles probably. It always reminds me of like a dress. You know, it's like this delicate pink color. It's so, so, so pretty. Yeah. And then from there, it has like all the very best characters of a Grenache. So this one always has such delicate fruit. Like the bubbles are so pretty. It feels like you're like putting on a ballet slipper. That's what it reminds me of. That's like every time I have this, Vicky's laughing at me, but that's okay. Okay, so we'll go ahead. If you guys have this wine, you can go ahead and taste it. Yeah, so delicious. So this one, you know, not unlike the other one, or the Blanc de Blanc, is really bright, really fruit driven. You'll notice all of our sparkling wines lean much more on the fruit side than they do on sort of the toasty and leesy side. So, you know, we want to maintain that purity of fruit. So in this particular one, I'm getting a lot of like fresh picked, like garden strawberry, a little bit of lemon zest, some like lemon meringue pie character, like really, really pretty, bright lemon meringue pie. Let's see. Yeah, it's really just that pure berry fruit on the nose, but super, super delicate. So, and this one, like I said at the beginning, that all of our wines are made in the traditional method champenois. So this one is made that way also. So that means it's going through the secondary fermentation in each individual bottle. So it's really special. You know, these wines take a long time to make. They spend a lot of time in bottle. You know, you might think it's just a rosé, but it's actually like, there's a lot of process that goes into this and to get to this like very pure, delicate state. Thank you, Robert. Now we're giving me flashcards, which is very helpful. So one of the exciting things is, you know, we have pulled out of this so early every year because we've only had 1 acre of it. You know, we just haven't had that much fruit available. And a few years ago, as some of you know, we actually pulled out most of the front part of our property. So it was all planted to Chardonnay. We pulled all that out and we planted a little less than half of it back to more Grenache. So for the very first time, well, actually in 2019, we took fruit from those new plantings. There was just a little bit of fruit. It all went into still wine. But for 2020, we'll actually have enough Grenache to make a sparkling, a little bit more sparkling Grenache, a still blend of so. And so I'm gonna open it up to questions and also food pairings. What do you guys want to pair with this? Because this one I feel like could go like so many directions because it's made from a red grape. So I'd love to hear what you guys are pairing with it. So just raise your hand or and Tammy will unmute you and we can, or you can unmute yourself, apparently.
Steve and Wendy were talking about an amazing pairing they have. So,
Okay, Steve and Wendy, unmute yourself so we can hear your amazing pairing.
I have food in my mouth.
Oh, sorry.
You tell them.
Oh, we're pairing it right now with several cheeses, but the one that goes the best is one of those Costco things, you know, with all kinds of different cheeses. It's a Valencia orange chevet. It's a goat's milk cheese, and on a cracker, and it's going very well. We also have some pepper salami. It's going well with. So it stands up to a little bit of spice as well too.
Totally, yeah. I love that you brought that up. So all of our red sparklings or rosé sparklings, you know, they hold up to a little bit of spice, a little more like hefty food. But I love the goat cheese, the Valencia orange goat cheese idea. So we actually had a pairing here for a little while. We paired a lemon and urfa chili goat cheese, marinated goat cheese with this wine, and it was, and I don't say this all that often because but it was like an earth-shattering pairing. It was so good. It was like mind-blowing. It was amazing. So yeah, how about anybody else? Any other pairings or questions? And they can be questions about anything. I mean, like hopefully wine related, but really anything. I don't care. Okay, Steve and Wendy again.
Okay, so you talked about, you call that dosage, where you add more sugars in, right? At one point in the process. So do you kind of have a standard that you do, or is it you just kind of play it by ear depending on what the wine is telling you at that point when you taste it?
That is such a good question. So we don't have a standard. I'll start with that. We do dosage trials, so that means before the wine is disgorged, we'll sit down, which is like maybe the most fun part of the job. I mean, there's lots of fun parts of being a winemaker, but that one's pretty good. So we'll sit down, we'll taste the lineup, and we'll taste all the dosage levels. And the very first level that we taste is 0. Does it even need a dosage? The reason that you add a little bit of sugar back in a sparkling is because it's picked so early and at such low sugar that the acid is very, very high. So the reason that you have to pick it at such a low sugar is because you need the final alcohol. Remember that your alcohol in your wine comes from consumption by your yeast of your sugar, and that's also where the CO2 comes from. So both of those are byproducts of fermentation. And so if you have too high of a sugar level and the yeast consume all of that sugar and you're left with a 14% alcohol, it can't go through fermentation in the bottle because alcohol is toxic to yeast at a certain point. So you have to dial down the sugar, which in turn dials down the alcohol, which in turn allows the secondary fermentation to occur in bottles. But all of that being said, sometimes you end up with very, very high levels of acid in your final wine. Like if you have a wine from like the Côte de Blanc in Champagne, it's like a very cool region, mostly Chardonnay. Those acidities are so high that they like, you know, you can feel them on your teeth. And so a way to counteract that is by adding a little bit of sugar back. So all of that being said, our sugar levels, our dosage levels are either 0 or very, very low, very low. Like fruit is 12 grams per liter, and ours are almost always 1 gram per liter. So a dry wine, we're a 12th, if anything, of a dry wine. So we're very, very, very low in sugar level. And again, if we even decide to add anything, which very often we do not. And that's for two reasons. You know, number one, we want these to be a little more fruit driven, a little brighter. That makes them pair very well with food. But number two, that's also because we're in a little bit warmer of a climate. You know, we're here in Dry Creek, so when our sugar levels are at 19, our acidities have already come down a fair bit. So we don't need to get our wines in balance.
Rosemary olive oil marksman almond from Anna.
Okay, yeah, so I don't know if you guys can hear Tammy right now, but she just said that Anna suggested this Grenache with, what was it?
Rosemary.
Oh, with rosemary almond, which sounds, again, delicious. I feel like next time we do this, I'm gonna need some snacks. I'm like seeing other people eat snacks, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna need some snacks too. And then anything else, Tammy?
Dwight is summer peach white balsamic.
Ooh, summer peach white balsamic from Dwight.
And a roasted walnut oil combo.
And roasted walnut oil. That sounds amazing. That sounds so good. Yeah, this is a wine also that goes with like grilled peaches. You know, it can kind of go at the end of a course too. Like just grilled peaches drizzled with a little bit of honey and like the end of a summer barbecue. So good. Okay, we gotta go to the next wine. I could talk about that one for a long time, as everyone noticed. Okay, sparkling Mataro. Yay! This is a very exciting wine for lots of reasons that we'll talk about as soon as I get my bottle open. So whoever is going to open this as their wine for today, go ahead and do so. Ooh. So excited. All right. So, does anyone know what varietal Mataro is? Or do we all know? So Mataro is Mourvedre. And Mourvedre comes from the Rhone region of France. But a little or lesser known thing is that there's actually quite a bit of Mourvedre planted in Spain. So the reason that we started making this sparkling is, you know, through a little bit of research, learning that Mourvedre is a fairly common grape varietal in base wines of Cava. And, you know, we already had it on our property. And again, Vicki and I being bubble, you know, pushers, we were like, well, what else can we make bubbles out of? Okay, well here we have this Mourvedre. Let's try that and see how that goes. So I think the first year that we did that was 2016, 17.
Well, this is the second year.
2016. So first year we did that was 2016. So you know it did take a few more years for it to come out after the sparkling Grenache. This is also grown right next to our tasting room, so it's the block next to the Grenache, between Grenache and Syrah. And you know, this wine is actually a really unique wine in our lineup because it's the only one that we make in a different way. So we still make it, you know, it's still method champenois, that's all fine, but to make the base wine, we actually make it in a different way. So instead of purposefully picking this for sparkling, we actually picked these grapes for still wine. So these are picked, you know, a little bit riper because we're intending to use them for red wine. And what we do is we pick the red wine portion and we crush it, you know, get it into a tank, and then we do a saignée. And a saignée is a French term and basically means that you drain a little bit of the juice from the tank of red grape. And you do that for two reasons. Number one, you can make a rosé out of it, which is what we've done. And number two, it actually concentrates the flavors and changes the skin to juice ratio in your remaining red grapes. So like this is like quite common practice in like a Pinot, because Pinots are very low in color. So to like concentrate your color and your flavor in a Pinot Noir. But we actually do this on most of our varietals. We do this on, you know, our still Grenache, our Syrah, and our Mourvedre. And that's, I don't know if you guys have tasted our Rosé de Trace, but that's where that comes from, and that's also where the sparkling Mourvedre comes from, or sparkling Mataro. So a little bit different style. From there, everything's basically the same. You know, everything, it's still method champenois, still spends, you know, between 1 and 2.5 years in bottle on the lees. And this one, I think this is 0 dosage, right? Yeah, so this one is no dosage at the end. And the most rare thing is that we only have 50 cases of this. This is like so limited, or like 46 cases. And we weren't able to make it. We had to skip a vintage for like some kind of bummer reasons of like losing some of our fruit in the vineyard. So, you know, this is a very, very scarce wine for us. So, yeah, so let's taste it. If this is the one that you guys have chosen, or you can choose whatever one you've chosen. So the biggest thing that I get out of this, Mourvedre is known for its like bright cherry fruit. It's got like this bright Bing cherry character that I love. You know, we actually are going to be making a standalone Mourvedre, a red wine, but up to this point we haven't. You know, it's only gone in our trace, and the biggest characteristic that it gives our trace, our red blend, our red Rhone blend, is that cherry quality. And this is what I get from that. It's like this pulled back, really pretty cherry quality, and like super fruit driven, super pretty, very balanced on the palate, and naturally balanced. You know, there's no sugar added to it, no dosage added. So really, really pretty wine. So let's open it up for questions and pairings. Vicky? You have to unmute yourself, I think. Or maybe Tammy will unmute.
What happened to Vicky? She's not on my thing anymore.
Again. So I don't want everyone to think that you somehow lost a bunch of Mourvedre, Ashley. It sort of sounds like you sort of lost it, which would make you not a very good winemaker. No, somebody came in and stole those grapes. Many of you know that, but just so you know, the reason we didn't have Mourvedre one year was because someone came in and stole them. Odd, but true.
We did. We had somebody come in our vineyard in the night, right before it was about to be picked, and they picked about half the block for us, and then just decided to take that for themselves. So yeah, we didn't quite lose them. Somebody just sort of pilfered them, and so you know, it was a very tragic, you know, for our sparkling Mataro. But we did, because we didn't have enough to make full wine, we did end up making our rosé de trace after that. So it was a little bit of a happy accident. But oh yes. Which, look, I have a bottle of that too. So, so you know, from something bad came something really good. But yeah, but it was a little bit sad. The other thing to know is that when we did our replant of our Grenache and our Chardonnay, we actually planted another almost 1.5 acres of Mourvedre in the back of the property. So we actually, you know, in the future, we won't have that problem for many reasons. Now we have cameras and motion lights and things also, but also we have a little bit more Mourvedre to play with. So I'm hoping that won't be an issue in the future, and we can all enjoy our sparkling Mataro. But let's talk about food pairings and questions. Anybody? Dorothy?
Yeah, I have a question. So why is it that some of them have more bubbles than the others?
That's a great question. So, you know, it's really, in that case, the CO2 is actually like sort of, it doesn't change, but it's temperature dependent. So it could be a function of temperature. It could be a function of tannin. So tannins can interfere. So usually the Blanc could have a little bit more bubble. And then it's sort of like where they are in their life cycle. You know, they're all disgorged at different times. So in theory, they actually have almost exactly the same amount of CO2 in every bottle between all the varietals. So you add yeast and sugar to get to a target CO2, and that almost always is hit. Sometimes you'll have like an off bottle, but that's quite rare. So these actually have almost to the number the exact amount of CO2 as each other. But, you know, that definitely shows in different ways.
Yeah, it's funny because this definitely to me is much less bubbly than the Grenache, but.
Yeah, so, you know, how the CO2 sort of comes out can be different, you know, and how it interacts with everything else within the wine, but the actual level of CO2 is the same in all of them.
Interesting, thank you.
You're welcome.
Steve and Wendy are bringing up their
Yep.
Oh, Steve and Wendy, sparkling trace question, and then we'll get to Dave up in the corner, well, in my corner, I don't know. So sparkling trace, we've sort of alluded to making that. As you guys know, our trace is Grenache Syrah Mourvedre classic Rhone blend. And in 2020, hopefully, if all goes to plan, we will be making our first sparkling trace. And I don't know who's more excited. I don't know if I'm more excited or if Robert's more excited. Or Tammy. Or Vicky. There's quite a lot of excitement going on about that. You know, those three varietals play pretty nicely together. That's why they're such a classic pairing, such a classic Rhone blend, because of how nicely they go together. So to make them into a sparkling wine is going to be pretty darn fun. And, you know, you guys will have a little ways to wait for that because sparkling wines take quite a while to like turn around, but I think it'll be worth it. I think it's going to be super good. So, and then how about question from Dave?
I just wanted to let you know, Ashley, that when our brand new granddaughter was born 10 days ago, we toasted her birth with the sparkling Mataro. Thank you.
Oh, well, congratulations. Cheers to that, guys. Yay.
Steve.
Oh, brand new granddaughter. That's so exciting. What's her name?
Her name is Blake Marianne.
Oh my God, I love that. So cute. Well, congratulations. Oh my God. Okay, when we can visit again, you should bring her to the tasting room. I love babies.
We will. We can't even go to San Diego to visit her. We're dying.
Of course, yeah.
But soon.
Yeah, oh, well, congratulations. That's so exciting. Okay, wait, I said, who?
Joe Singh.
Oh, Joe? Do you have a question?
Yeah.
Oh, hi, guys.
So we actually made homemade bruschetta that goes really well.
Oh my God, that looks delicious.
Yeah, because this is definitely a nice red wine drinkers sparkling, and the garlic in there is perfect. And I also wanted to say thank you. We got our rosé, so I'm really happy.
That's awesome. That looks delicious. I'm like, man, I need some snacks. People put in their pairing ideas ahead of time, and then I'll just like eat during these things. Yeah, so that's a great point though. Like I said before, you know, our sparkling rosés are so food friendly. They stand up to really hearty food. You know, it's not very many sparkling wines or champagnes that will stand up to the flavors in garlic or tomatoes or things like that. And these wines are meant to be paired with food, with your dinner. You know, they don't need to be an aperitif. They don't just need to be for dessert. You know, these are like full meal wines. They'll pair with anything. I mean, I've had these with barbecue, with pork belly, you know, with lots and lots of heavier food. And they sort of cut through the richness of those. And it's kind of nice to have that. You know, you would think a red wine, but you're getting a lot of the sort of same feelings on your palate when you drink red wine with heavier food. So to have something a little lighter and something that cuts through some of those rich flavors is actually, it's refreshing. So.
How about paella? We're having that for dinner tonight.
Yay.
Paella?
Vicky had a little birthday to celebrate yesterday. So
Yes, but the
her
birthday dinner is tonight, and it's paella. So I think one of our sparklings would go really well.
I think that would be true.
Which one do you think? It's a seafood paella. No sausage.
Seafood paella. I think I would do the Grenache. I was going to say that too. Robert said Grenache, and I said Grenache.
Okay.
And sparkling Grenache with it. So what time should I be there, Vicky? Can you just like leave me a doggy bag? I'll just like sit on the other side of the
Yes,
wall.
a
You
to-go
just
bag.
pass me out the window. Yeah, so this, like I said, you know, these are super versatile and like super food-friendly wines. And that's why I like them. If any of you know me, I know the people that I work with know this, but I really like to eat all the things. And so, you know, to make food-friendly wines and wines that stand up to like a variety of dishes is really important. You know, it's great to drink a great wine, but, you know, if you can't enjoy it with like your everyday life and with food and with, you know, your friends and family, then, you know, not really a point to it for me. So, okay, so we're gonna move on. I got the signal from Robert. We're gonna move on to the sparkling Syrah. Yay! So as many of you know, Syrah is our flagship wine. It was the first thing that Mike and Vicky planted when they purchased the property. We use it in so many of our wines and so many of our blends, and it really is so important to us and to our property. We have a great place and space to grow it, and it's just delicious. It just truly is delicious. So I'll tell you guys my favorite story about this. So I worked at the facility that Mike and Vicky were making their wines when I met them. I have to pass the bottle over to the mystery hand over here because they want to share it too. And Mike brought me some bottles of this for Christmas one year as a thank you. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, that looks like it's going to be sweet. I'm not going to drink that. Like, I'm not a sweet person. I don't want to drink that. And I opened the bottle up probably 6 months later, like at a party. And it was so delicious. It like blew me away. It was dry, it was lovely, it was fruity, but like, you know, had some oomph to it and nice acidity and was just beautiful. And, you know, I think that probably was like one of the clinchers of like this beautiful, almost 10-year-long partnership of me working for them. You know, I love this wine. And, you know, I wish I could take credit for the idea of starting it, but I can't. That was Vicky and their last winemaker and mine. But still, I'm so glad that I get to continue to make it and drink it. So, yeah, so the sparkling Syrah, again, it's picked at about 20 bricks, so much earlier than you would pick a still Syrah. And it goes into the winery and is de-stemmed. And this one, we actually let sit for somewhere between 6 to, I've let it sit for like 14 hours on the skin. And, you know, I haven't said this yet, and maybe some of you know, because if you've heard me talk before, but maybe you don't, that most grape juice and most of the ones that we work with in a winemaking capacity is actually clear. You know, it's white juice. There's no color to it. And the only reason that red wines are red, that rosé has a blush color, is from the pigments in the skins of the grapes. So the longer that we let the juice sit in contact with the skin, the more depth of color we're going to have, because that color pigment is going to leach out into the juice. And that's why we let it sit. You know, sometimes I've sort of missed that window or called it a little too soon and, you know, not gotten enough skin contact or maybe gotten a little too much. So you'll see this is like a very like year-to-year wine. It'll look and taste a little bit different. That's my fault, or, you know, good on me. I don't know, depending on how you feel. So from there, it's treated just the same as the rest of our sparkling. So, you know, fermented cold, takes almost a month to ferment in tank, and then goes to bottle with a little more yeast and a little more sugar, and ferments to dryness. And this is another one, you know, because Syrah just naturally has a little bit lower acidity, that we very often don't add dosage back to. So, and if we do, it's very, very minimal, like I said, with the rest of them. So I'm sure everybody has lots of food pairings for this, because I know that I do. But one of the things when I am talking about a sparkling being food friendly, this is the one. This is like, I will just put bottles of this on my family's Thanksgiving table, and we don't need another wine. It goes with like literally every dish on that table. like every dish on the holiday table, you know, and like from, you know, my family, like some of us are like pescatarian and some of us are like meat eaters. And it's like that wine that sort of ties everybody together, you know, and then my mom like pretty much only likes bubbles. So like, it's like a win-win for everybody. And that's like one of the things that I really, really love about this. But let's open it up for questions and pairings.
I think Thomas had a question on the last one. Thomas, I don't know if your question is still, or your comment is still relevant, but do you want to unmute?
Oh, Thomas, sorry if I missed you guys. I don't mean to.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Vicki, next time you need to put together recipes to pair with everything, and we all need to cook it, and then we all need to have wine tastings paired with the dinner recipes that you've come up with.
Okay.
I love that idea. We should do that.
You're on. I like it.
That would be kind of fun, just to see how everyone's dishes turn out.
And I was just telling Jennifer, the last time, unfortunately, that we were at the winery was 10 years ago, and it was when you had first joined Amista, and we met you at Passport.
Aww.
Doesn't
That's
seem like
so awesome.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like 10 years ago.
That's amazing.
You need to come back.
I know, we do.
Yes.
I know. I feel like we'll just have like a big party when all of this is over, like a big like reunion party for all of us.
I have a question.
Oh, I heard another question. I didn't see. Dorothy?
Yeah, I have a question, just sort of in general, and I've probably asked this before, but I don't quite understand, why don't the sparkling wines have a year on them?
Vicki, would you like to answer that question?
They mix them.
We do not mix them. Every single one of them is from a single vintage, okay? They're actually, these may not be very good reasons, so, you know, you guys can argue with me. One of them is, I have always heard that in France, they had to be in the bottle for a certain amount of time before you could actually vintage label them. Like, not like we have to follow those rules, but so ours aren't quite in the bottle as long as those. Is that right, Ashley? Is that
Yeah, that's true. So in France,
Okay.
there are really stringent rules about what you can vintage label. So, you know, we, again, like Vicki said, you know, we don't have to follow those rules, but it's sort of, you know, it's nice to follow tradition and keep that up here in our little bit of Dry Creek.
Do you think it would be, I mean, what, I'd be curious to use this as a little focus group. Do you think we should put a vintage on them, or are they fine the way they are? What do you think?
I would like it because I have several bottles and I'm not quite sure which year is which, you know, so it'd be fun to know which one I should drink first.
Yeah, there you go. That's true. Dorothy, there's another way to solve that, though.
So we have the same problem, and we drink ours pretty fast, but we have a hard time keeping track of which one is the most recent.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get a new shipment, I'll throw it in my wine fridge, and then all of a sudden I'll forget which is the new one and which is the old one. And I don't know how long, you know, the one in the back, I've been there for 10 years, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Although
I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
So if everybody wants to unmute themselves, I mean, unless you really don't want to have to say anything. I see some head shaking over here. They're like, no, we've got 2 kids. We're like not unmuting, but that's fine. But anybody who like wants to just join in a little bit of a discussion, feel free to unmute yourself now. And
I like the idea of putting a vintage on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. I tend to have stuff that gets lost in my cellar at times, and it'd be nice when I find stuff, be able to go, oh, okay, I need to drink this now.
Yeah, see?
Got it. Okay.
That was all.
I saw a really good recommendation that showed up on the chat about throwing a bottle of the Mataro in our next wine club shipment.
That'd be great. Yes.
Yes.
I would love a bottle of the Mataro.
sold them all.
Most-
I have a question, Ashley.
Did you say yes to everything? Like, no.
Club about
Maybe it's time for me to step in.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tammy.
There's only 16 bottles left.
Oh, Tammy says there's only 16 bottles
So
left.
don't put.
Well, I think there's 16 of us on right now, right?
Yeah.
Girl,
Yeah,
bye.
I'm gonna take like 5 of those when I go today. So. It's funny. So let's do like a few more minutes of chat, but I just wanted to say a couple things, like a couple future excitement things just going forward. Number one is that we are coming out with a, focusing on our property, focusing on all these Rhone varietals. We are doing a few more replants, and some of them are to white Rhone varietals. And so this year we are actually buying fruit from a neighbor from Preston, which is a biodynamic property up in a little further in Dry Creek. And we're going to make a white Rhone blend and do a little test run and see. And obviously it's going to be a still wine for now, but I don't know. I feel like we can make bubbles out of anything, Vicki.
Why not?
So, not for this year, but, something to look forward to for this white Rhone blend. I think it's going to be really delicious. I love white Rhones, and so does Robert, and so does Vicki, and Sammy. So that'll be something exciting. And then the other thing is just, what was it?
It just gave us more opportunity.
Oh, for sparkling. Yeah, okay.
Sparkling wines. So the 3 Rhone whites that we'll be purchasing are Grenache Blanc, Marsanne, and Roussanne, and it'll make a sensational white blend. And we're hoping to be able to release that next spring, because whites can be released a little bit earlier, and we want it to be bright and fresh. But then it gives us even more opportunity once we go through the replant to offer more sparkling wines in our portfolio.
Yeah, so I think it'll be really exciting, just looking down the pipeline, and hopefully next year we'll be able to taste them all in person, and we'll do this all together.
I'm volunteering the South's taste testing group.
What was that?
So Steve and Wendy is asking to repeat about the white Rhone, like the blend, I guess.
Oh, so the 3 varietals, Steve and Wendy, are Grenache Blanc, which is a white Grenache, basically, Marsanne, and Roussanne. And so they're very typical of the Rhone region of France. And they very typically go together and play very nicely together. What we are hoping, and we'll see how this goes, is that we'll make 3 standalones and the blend. But, we're going to see how they all taste. And Vicki's like, no!
More inventory SKUs.
Yeah. We'll have lots of whites to sort of play around with. And yeah, if any of you guys are going to be out in the area, during harvest time, please do email us in advance, and you guys can come out and hang out and come to the winery and come to the picks and, taste fruit with me. I think, Tom, maybe that was sort of relating to your question. Oh my God. So cute. Last time we had somebody with a whole bunch of dogs, and it was awesome. I was like, oh my God. Oh, that dog is adorable.
I love that you're.
So cute. So anyway, yeah, if we want to open it up to any more questions, and then we'll sort of wrap it up here. Dave?
One more vote for putting the dates or the years on the sparkling wine in case you want to do a vertical tasting.
Oh, that's a great reason. I like that reason. Guys, we might have just like changed our like winemaking and our label philosophy here today. We feel like done big work here.
Ashley, are you going to expand the lineup of the sparkling wines? Do you have some? What's your next target after these 4?
Yeah, so for our sparkling, the next one will be the sparkling trace. So it'll be rosé of Grenache Syrah and Mourvedre. And then after that, our hope is to maybe find some homes for some sparkling white Rhone varietals, like the Grenache Blanc, or like the Marsanne, or like the Roussanne, or maybe a combination of all 3. And that's sort of why we are buying fruit from a neighbor this year, so that we can see, you know, how that interacts and, you know, sort of project what flavors we can kind of see for a sparkling wine. But I think it'll be really fun, and you know, we're always trying to keep things interesting and new, and like I said, the goal for at least 2 of us is to just always keep making more bubbles. So three of us, yeah.
But you know, and that's one of the things about our sparkling program that's made us unique, is that we're using unusual varietals for sparkling wines, and we like to focus on the fruit that we grow here on the property, so that we're all estate grown, and that's really kind of our signature.
Yeah, so we won't be making sparkling from our 2020 grapes because we don't have any planted here on our property. But as we go into the future, we'll be planting Roussanne. Yeah, Roussanne. Sorry, my brain is in quarantine. Am I saying my words right? We'll be planting Roussanne in June. So, you know, it'll take a little while to get fruit from it, but we will have a little bit of a test plot and hopefully be able to make some fill-in sparkling wine from it and, you know, see how it goes. So, you know, a couple of years from now, we'll be rolling out with some pretty awesome things.
2 and 3.
All right. Does anybody have any more questions? We're like right at our hour.
Jen has a question.
Oh, Jen.
Yeah, I have a question. One of the wines I absolutely love is your Rock Pile Cab. That would be one. If we could do a vertical tasting of that, that would be incredible.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
So we have 2 vintages. Our 2015, which from Wine Advocate received 92 plus points. And then our 16 is Wine Club only. So those are the only 2 that we have. I did put 20 cases of the 14 in the library, which will release again probably in another couple of years. So stay tuned for that. So we could do a 15-16 tasting.
I did put 7 in the bottle. Supposed to have a little more bottle time before we release it.
We're actually, as a team, 17-18 Zinfandel vertical tasting.
That'd be good.
Because each one of them is very unique. Okay. We've got a couple of takers already. Excellent.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be a cool one.
So that would be fun.
Yeah, if you guys have any suggestions for like things that you want to taste in vertical tastings, you know, if it's possible, this is fun. I mean, fun for me. I hope it's fun for you guys.
We love to hear from you guys and the suggestions that you give us. And we've made a lot of pivots over the years based on feedback that we get from members. And it's really important to us. You're your friends and family.
This is great. You know, since we're on the East Coast, we don't get out there as much as we'd like to. So to be able to do these virtually, you know, again, I hope this lasts forever. And, you know, I'm also really looking forward to the next party there where all of these people are here with us. It's going to be like family, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're so excited for that too. And, you know, we've been talking about that, like, you know, yeah, we're in a really weird time, but also like some great ideas are coming from this time. And you know, I think you guys were in the last tasting too, and weren't they? Yeah, and it's like, it's sort of nice. It's like, I feel like we should do these, you know, for all of our new releases and be able to connect with you guys, and it's, you know, for people on the East Coast or wherever. I mean, it's just a nice way to connect and talk and like go through the wine. So I think you'll be able to see these in the future for sure, from us. So yeah, so you can count on that, and you know, I think it'll be super fun.
Yeah, let me just add to that. I have loved this because there are a lot of you, I recognize your names, but I don't get to see you because you haven't been here for 10 years or however long. Some of you are locals, so I see you often, which is wonderful. But this is great. I hope you want to keep this up because I sure would like to.
Yeah, agreed.
You know, we've always struggled with those that come to see us, and they love the wines, they love the experience, like Tom and Jen, and they haven't been back to see us in 10 years, and we haven't had an opportunity to connect with you. So, you know, virtually, it's pushed us all into understanding that there can be a new reality on the way that we connect. So stay tuned, you'll see this in the future.
For sure. All right, do we have any other questions? And then I think we'll wrap up.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I have got I could probably go back a pretty good ways with my cellar collection of rock pile cab.
I'm jealous.
Tom's going to host the next virtual tasting.
Send addresses.
Yeah, because that's what I love to do, is I love to do the verticals. And so I collect a lot of verticals from different wineries, and I'll just keep some of them back, and we'll have folks over and we'll open 5 years of different wines and taste how they change each year. And I won't mention there's one particular winery out there that we've pulled out for a vertical before, and they had a winemaker change in the midst of that vertical that we had, and it was quite astounding, the change that the wine experienced, you know, when that new winemaker came in. So it's just kind of a fun thing to do, and you know, we would definitely be interested in doing that with some of your wines.
Awesome.
That's awesome feedback. Yeah, we would love to do it too. I mean, verticals are fun for us too. Like as winemakers, or you know, anybody working in the wine industry too. Like, it's really informative. Like, you can really get the different picture of the vintages and like how a wine is aging and progressing when you taste them all together. So yeah, I agree. I would love to do that.
Yeah, and my vertical ends 2 years after that winemaker change.
You're like, I'm out. Well, good. Maybe that'll be job security for me, right, Vicki?
That's right.
Yeah. One other thought too, as I've been talking to people about doing this particular tasting, you know, a lot of the wineries are doing virtual tastings, which really means you sit and watch, but it's not really interactive other than the chat. I've got a lot of friends now that are asking me, well, we're not members, can we join in on this? Because you guys are having so much fun. Mm-hmm. So that's great for you.
Okay, so we'll have to work on that.
We always love making new friends.
Yeah, you can send your friends our way. Yeah, I mean, more the merrier for me. But I only have to show up and drink and talk, so I don't know.
So I have to say we've been sparkling club members for quite a while, but we have 2 sets of friends who are on the call right now who this is their first experience with Amista. So I think there is a way for your friends to join. It's easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank
we
are. That's awesome.
We're definitely converts. We have like a WhatsApp message going between us, and we're like, great, we need to order that, and we need to join, and like we need a trip, and
oh my God, I love that. That's so awesome.
That's like
Yeah, I think, well, Dorothy, wasn't your mom on the last one?
Yep.
And so it was so cute just having, you know, like even family that's like far away and not able to be together, but like on the same, like doing the same tasting and having the same experience. It was really awesome. Like so cute and so sweet. So yeah, I think this is a great way, you know, as we're all struggling to connect and like wanting that connection with other people, like this is like a super fun way to do it. You can't come to wine country, but like we'll just ship wine country to you.
And then continue to pull.
Yeah,
pull,
and then
when you
come
get
back,
fun, come back.
and like come back.
Yeah, you know what? It was really awesome. And you know what? After that, we actually did a Zoom family thing. So we had like 20 family members that did a Zoom because it was like, this is so awesome. Let's do it with our family. And so we did. So yeah, it was really cool.
That's so cute. I know. I did a Zoom with my family for Easter, and it was like, it was so nice and so sweet. Like, and so funny because my parents were like in this weird shadow and they like couldn't figure out how to do it. And we're like, oh, see, it's just like real life. Great.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, there's an SNL skit for that.
Totally. Oh my God. All right, guys. Well.
So one closing remark is that we've pretty much talked about this. These are just as important to us as they are to you. Reconnecting with everyone and having you back in our home. And we look forward to the next time that you do come and visit. Some of you are a little bit closer and are able to come for our Locals Day and our Pizza Sundays. But as things start to lift, we really encourage you to come back and spend some time with us and see the changes that have occurred here over the last year. The other is that some of you have opened all 4 of these. Some of you have just opened 1. As being part of, or 2. What we want to do is offer, if anyone wishes to purchase any of these that we opened up today or any of the other wines from our portfolio, we will ship them to you at an additional 10% off from your wine club level.
Wow.
And 4 bottles or more will ship for $1. And if you have not heard from us, we're calling everybody about the wine club releases.
I get this.
We can ship your wine club release along with those additional bottles. So reach out to respond to the email that you received with the link. It'll go to the tasting room. Tammy and Anna and myself will reach out to you with any additional bottle purchases that you'd like to make. For those, Wendy and Steve, that are a little bit more local, we can drop off, or you can come and do curbside pickup. We're doing curbside pickup Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays for a couple of hours. It's just a way, again, that we can continue to connect with everyone. But this means so much to us. So thank you. So that offer, the additional 10, will be for the next 48 hours, so end of day on Sunday, and we'll organize the orders on Monday.
Great, thank you.
And then Tammy just poked me. We have 16?
Yeah, well, they know 16 bottles.
1 for each.
16 bottles left of the Mataro, and it's gone.
I'll take one.
And it's the same thing, it was such limited production, it's first come, first serve.
All right, Tammy, you got all that?
Right now.
Everybody.
Thank you so much for doing
Yeah,
this.
it's
Fabulous.
It was
our
lovely.
pleasure.
Oh, thank you guys.
So good to see everyone.
This is so fun. Like, truly.
Cheers.
There you are.
Cheers, guys. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you.
Stop by later for, paella.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
See you again, either virtually or maybe like in person.
Thank you, Ashley. You just good at do all this.
Oh, well, you guys are the best, so thank you.